The world is embroiled in war and crisis. Conflict has been ravaging countries in countless ways, causes unimaginable pain as well. And despite repeated calls to respect international humanitarian law, populations have struggled with the aftermath of these conflicts. Today, right here on Newspoint, I'll tell you about the conflicts which are being witnessed around the globe and the aftermath that is being faced by those populations in these nations. First, let's take a look at what is happening in West Asia. Israel and Hamas militants in Gaza have been at war since early October last year. It began when Hamas gunmen launched an attack on Israel from Gaza, which is said to be the deadliest in Israel's history. Now, in the attack, Hamas took more than 250 people from Israel to Gaza as hostages. And as of now, 116 hostages are still held captive in Gaza, with 50 of them believed to be alive. Following the Hamas attack, Israeli military launched its own campaign from air, sea and land, which has killed more than 37,000 Palestinians in the region. And the number is still being counted further. With such high casualties of civilians, Israel now looks at a multi-front conflict. And you can see that on the map in front. I'll go into it one by one. Now, in the Red Sea, a maritime front has opened, with Yemen's Houthis attacking commercial vessels in the globally critical waterway. Essentially, this is the waterway. This is the Red Sea. And right next to Yemen, that is where the attacks are taking place by the Houthi rebels. They are attacking cargo vessels that are en route to Israel through the southern Red Sea. The rebels say their attacks seek to end Israel's aggression in Gaza. While in Israel's northern border with Lebanon, as you can see, Lebanon, which lies to the north of Israel, tensions between Hezbollah, which are based in Lebanon, and Israel have been rising. In recent weeks, the intensity of cross-border attacks between the two has increased even further. Now, bring in Cyprus into the fold, which is towards the northern front. Cyprus also faces prospects of being dragged into the war. And this is because Cyprus has good relations with Israel and Lebanon is not happy with that. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hezbollah leader rather has warned Cyprus that if they aided Israel in attacks on Lebanon, Cyprus will be targeted by Hezbollah. We now shift focus to the war between Russia and Ukraine, which is well into its third year. Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine in 2022 set alight the bloodiest conflict in Europe since the Second World War. And this is because Russia claims NATO's eastward expansion threatens Moscow's interests. Fearing a potential invasion by Russia, NATO, led by the US, are stepping up their support for Ukraine. The military alliance has also planned to install missile defense systems in Eastern Europe in countries like Poland and the Czech Republic. Now, to counter Russia's intercontinental range missiles, this is the support which is being given by NATO towards Ukraine. Shifting our focus now to the South China Sea, which is, of course, much closer to India than the other two regions we just spoke about. The region has become a dangerous flashpoint where China claims sovereignty over the entire region. Beijing's claims are increasing tensions with Taiwan and Philippines, as well as their most powerful ally, the US. Chinese and Philippine vessels have been playing a dicey cat-and-mouse game in the contested waters. And this week, allegedly, Chinese Coast Guard personnel boarded a Philippine boat and they attacked soldiers with swords and knives. Tensions have also risen sharply in the Korean Peninsula. From the west, we're now shifting towards the east. Of course, the Korean Peninsula, made up with North Korea and South Korea. Japan is right around the corner as well. There has been a notable uptick in provocative moves by North Korea and the subsequent rebuttals by South Korea and its allies. North Korea's recent barrage of missile tests prompted South Korea, the United States and Japan to conduct joint drills in response. In a strange twist to the simmering conflict, the two nations have resumed their unconventional tactics, weaponizing trash, K-pop and loudspeakers in a smelly and noisy war. Now, from here, we shift focus to Africa. In Sudan, 1 year ago, rival military factions began fighting in the streets of the capital, Khartoum. The current civil war is between government's Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, which was essentially a paramilitary force which has now gone against the army. It has spread from the capital of Khartoum to other regions of Sudan. including Darfur in the west. Both forces are using shells and other explosives in densely populated civilian areas. Basic infrastructure and services are now essentially non-existent in the capital. According to the UN, more than 8 million people have been displaced during the war and more than 13,000 people have been killed. We now shift focus to Myanmar. There is a similar situation here as well. The country's military staged a coup in 2021, strangling democratic reforms and jailing much of the country's civilian leadership. 3 years since then, the military faces a national uprising that spans the breadth of Myanmar. Tens of thousands of people have been killed and millions more are displaced.